All right. Looks like we had some technical difficulties on this April Fool's Day. Or, Greg, someone's messing with us. The production team is messing with us. That's
broke the
exactly.
swoosh. I'm sorry.
Well, we have got an
The
outstanding
wrong button.
show here today. So good morning, everybody. Scott Luton Greg White with you here on Supply Chain Now. Welcome to our Standing Thursday live stream. And so ignore the bugs on the front end because we've got a home run conversation teed up, Greg. We had a blast.
We're here. It's April Fool's Day, and we're here. Wait a minute.
Right. I think we're here, right?
Well, what does that say? We're here on April Fool's Day.
Well, we are not, no fooling here today. We've got two awesome speakers. We're going to be talking about bad leadership practices, right? What not to do. We all learn, and we always talk about, great leaders and leadership best practices and all that. We're going to flip the script on that today, and we're going to talk about things that Charles and Crystal have learned from bad leaders, and we're going to share some commentary on that. So, Greg,
it is April Fool's because you just gave up the guests, which is usually my job.
That is your job. We're swapping roles here on Supply Chain Now on April 1st.
Yeah.
But we want everybody. So that's a heads up. That's what we're talking about. It's bad leadership practices, what not to do, what you've learned from folks that are really ineffective leaders. We all have rubbed elbows with those folks.
Great topic for the day, right?
I think
what an appropriate day for this.
Bizarro world. Yes, right here on Supply Chain Now. So get your POV and your thoughts ready. We want to hear from all of y'all that are in the cheap seats in the comments. We're going to feature that all along the way. We're going to say hello to a few folks here momentarily as well. Okay, so Greg, let's make a few announcements before we bring on our two home run guests here today.
Just any announcements? Oh.
We're gonna first off, we are very pleased to be sponsoring this event, Race Against the Clock, Positioning Procurement for Growth Enablement. And this is Greg, this is from the folks over at Art of Procurement. This is their popular mastermind live session for spring 2021, and it's April 13th and 14th. Register for free, which is a great gesture, all about the hot space of procurement.
Very hot. I spend a lot of time evaluating companies. In fact, I just asked for a little help from Kelly Barner. Thank you, Kelly, if you're listening, with this company who has what I think is a pretty innovative technology. And man, we are hearing a lot about procurement. It's really blurring the line, which I think is a good thing, between procurement and supply chain, and procurement and supply chain as a combined discipline, something we're all very conscious of here.
Agreed. Well, and you're going to find leadership best practices, strategies for growth, all kind of focus on procurement. So great event here. Amanda or Clay, if we can drop the link to register in the comments, make it easy for folks, that would be great. Okay. Secondly, so this is cool. One of our favorite things to do is to put our spotlight on nonprofits out there that are doing big things, right? Really making it happen. So our second quarter, so first quarter nonprofit making it happen was Truckers Against Trafficking, which have trained over $1 million. Have trained over 1 million people to look for trafficking signs. I think they've saved like 1,400 folks from human trafficking, which is just a travesty.
Wow.
But for second quarter, it is, as we're announcing today, Good 360. So get this, Greg. Their mission is to transform lives by providing hope, dignity, and a sense of renewed possibility to those in need. They're the global leader in product philanthropy and purposeful giving. They've been around for 37 years. They've distributed $10 billion with a B, $10 billion in products to those in need. And those needs, it might be day-to-day needs, unfortunately, for families in need, people in need. It could be post-disaster challenges, right? You name it. Good 360 is on a mission to help, and you can learn more at good360.org. So got to help get the word out on this powerful organization. So y'all join us in that if you would. We'll be talking a lot more about Good 360 in the next 3 months to come, and featuring some of their leadership as well to help them, put a spotlight on the incredible stuff that they're doing.
Well, we talk a lot about circular supply chain and reverse logistics, and this is a great outlet for that as well, right? So 10 billion with a B. That's incredible. I just would like to note that one of the things they are seeking is technology-based donations right now. So I don't know what that means, but if you go to their site, I haven't dug into it, but if you go to their site, I'm sure they can give you some details there.
Great call out. And we dropped there again. We want to make it easy. We're going to be featuring their URL in the show notes in upcoming shows, but we dropped it in the comments. So y'all check that out. Okay.
10 billion with a B.
It really talk about moving the needle. So and I
He
love
is
those
in Bitcoin now.
Yeah.
Scott.
Really? Well, and again, look at these pictures. You know,
there's some happiness going on there.
There really is. There really is. So really making it happen here. Okay. So let's say hello to a few folks, Greg, and then we're going to bring in y'all stay tuned. We got two incredible guests here. Let's see. We have got Peter is back with us. Peter Boley. He's been on a tear. Great to see you, Peter. Todd Rains, Greg, is with us today.
Welcome aboard.
Paula, everyone does love the swoosh. We gotta go find it and see where it went, Paula. But hope this finds you well.
Hey, it's April Fool's, so if somebody just wants to throw it in at any time, just
that's right. Mervyn, good evening from Dublin. Great to see you, Mervyn. Simon, let's leap into the void together. Man, Simon, Greg, he is like a couple levels, pay grades above. I was telling that on social the other day. He has some great references, very savvy references.
I love it when you say Simon Says. It just makes so much sense.
Let's see. Srinivas is with us. Hello, Greg White from India. Great to see you.
Hey there. Where in India? Let's see if we can find out where in India.
Yeah, let us know where you are in India, big country. Chris Christensen, good morning, everyone from North Carolina. First time making one of these. Chris, welcome. Great to have you here. Natalie.
Boy, did he pick the right day.
Yes, he sure did. Natalie is with us again.
She's back.
And she's also in North Carolina, so I didn't know that. Let's see. David is with us. It's awesome. Good morning from the soon-to-be prison state of Ontario. Man,
oh, no. Lockdown's coming again?
We got to break through this for sure. Tom says, hey, guys, really curious on one thing.
Oh, boy.
What's the hair routine? Looking stellar out there. That's all Greg. Greg's the cool one here. So I do agree, Greg. Your hair is looking great this morning.
It needs cut, according to my wife, and I can't argue that. But thank you, Tom.
Aniket, great to have you here on via LinkedIn. Thanks so much for joining us. And finally, Gary Smith. Hello from rainy Roslyn, New York. Gary, great to have you. The palette is right over Greg's left shoulder.
He wants it bronze, but I feel like it would fall through the floor if I did that. So.
Palette check by Gary Smith. I love that. Gary, I hope this finds you well. We look forward to reconnecting soon. Okay, with no further ado, folks, y'all are in store. You got a great conversation teed up. We are really featuring these guests, repeat guests, because our team and our community, our Supply Chain Now family, as it were, we're clamoring to have these two guests back with us and their POV.
I love that word.
Well, I stole it shamelessly from your vocabulary, by the way, so you can't use it anymore, Gregory. But Crystal Davis will be joining us, founder, CEO, and principal lean practitioner at the Lean Coach Incorporated, and Charles Walker, vice president, business development with Aurora Global Solutions. Let's bring him in. Okay, we're going to do this manually. Evidently, the swoosh is not working.
It really is broken.
This is thank you, Crystal. She did the swoosh for us.
Thank you, Crystal.
So we had I don't know about this. Reminds me, we had a guy by the name of Joe Penner on TV on a local kids show in South Carolina when I was growing up, and he would have the kids do this as they bring the cartoon machine in because they play cartoons and all this kind of stuff. So maybe we'll have to do a manual swoosh moving forward. We'll see.
Man, that makes me miss Romper Room.
Romper, yeah, it's kind of a
Miss Marty and Miss Fran.
Well, so let's talk about. We're gonna roll first with our lightning round. So Charles and Crystal, formally, welcome to the show today. Great to have you.
Thank you.
Glad to be here. Happy to be here, man. Happy to be here.
Well,
welcome aboard.
We had to get y'all. We had to have y'all back. I mean, y'all, you caused such a stir. Crystal, of course, you were on a podcast with us. We're kind of talked about your journey, and of course Charles was with Enrique and us on a previous live stream. Heard a ton from folks across the community. So great to have you back. And Greg, where are we going to start today's discussion?
Let's start with the calendar, Scott. Hey, since it's April Fool's Day, I want to simulate some of the other live streams that I've seen. So everybody just hang tight for just a second. Is anyone still out there? Now I'm going to talk. Have you seen that?
Yes.
Yeah. Are we entertained by that? I find it somewhat painful, but I don't know. People must be entertained by it. I'm going to do that. I want to do that one time. A whole show just like that. I don't even know what I'll be doing off screen. It's just every once in a while I'll go silent. You want to throw them a mic when that happens. Okay, I'm sorry. It is April Fool's. So I think the most appropriate question to ask, I'm going to ask Crystal first, because asking Charles strikes fear into my heart. Crystal, any big time practical jokers in your family? Has anyone hit you already with something? She's doing it. It's her. She is the practical joker in her family.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we know who it is.
Yeah. Yep.
But let me tell you something. I don't like it when it's done to me. I don't like it.
Yeah, that's so true. It's funny how many people can dish it out but can't take it. So is that you and your family? Are you the practical joker?
It would be me. Yeah.
You have anything planned for today?
No, I didn't. My day started really early and chaotic, so I haven't had time to think about it.
I hate it when work gets in the way of recreation.
Exactly. Maybe I'll come up with something before the clock strikes into the next day.
That's right. Oh, so you got to be on your toes till midnight in your family.
Until midnight. Fair game. The whole day is fair game.
Yeah, that's true. It's still April 1st.
That's
right. All right, Charles Walker. We know it's you.
It's me.
So I got to know what do you got planned?
Man, really, I don't have anything planned for it, because I know my brother. I got a brother that he's going to come up with something, because I'm traveling back down there later this evening. And so it's fair game with him until midnight. So I'm holding it for him, because around here, nobody's want to do it, because there's so much going on. If somebody try to play a joke on you, they'll think it's real right now. Because with the pandemic going on, people's like, oh, did that happen for real? Because everything is happening. So
yeah, that's
people
true.
stand away from the jokes right now.
Yeah, everyone could believe anything at this point, couldn't they? Yeah.
Because everything is happening, man. Anything can happen right now. So it might be real. It might not even be an April Fool's joke. It might be real.
True. So are you on high defense right now? I mean, knowing that your brother is going to be the one who pulls it, are you on high defense all day long?
I'm on high defense. I'm on high alert. All full alert. Full battle rattle. Like they say in the military. Full battle rattle.
DEFCON 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
And does he still get you sometimes, even though you're on alert for it?
He gets me, but it lasts through the whole year. I don't trust nothing he say now. So he gets me, and now he hurting himself, because now I don't believe what he say.
It's sort of like Todd Raines. This is a great day for Todd Raines. I'm certain that something is coming.
Right.
So and probably coming during this show, but I'm on too high of alert. He won't get me. All right, Scott. What about you? Who's a practical joker in your family?
So I like a lot of practical jokes. I mess with the kids pretty often. The last dad practical joke I did is I grabbed a mouse, computer mouse, and the kids were upstairs, and I wrapped it in a towel, and I had Amanda shriek, and she said, "Oh, Dad's got a mouse. Dad's got." I had all 3 kids wrapped around. I want to see it. I want to see it. Uncovered this computer mouse, and they moaned in true dad joke fashion. But we count.
That is a dad joke.
That's kind of good.
That is a dad joke. For
That's
sure.
a good one. That's a good one. I might have to steal that one, Scott.
Well, the rolling of the eyes that my oldest gave me for the next 2 hours would have powered, would hook at the community, would have powered power grids everywhere. But hey, life's short. You gotta enjoy the small things, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right, man. Yeah.
All right, so we've got past that, and I'm watching you, Rains. We've got past that a little bit, but I am so super gullible that it's easy to take advantage of me. And Charles, kind of like you, I get into the day, I forget it's April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
And you could tell me anything, and I would believe it. So yeah, I'm an easy target on a day like this. Even on high alert, I will falter. Right. All right. So let's talk about something else that's really important today, particularly to Scott, and particularly here in Atlanta and in St. Louis, Missouri, for Mr. Todd Rains, and that is it is the first day of baseball season. So, Chris, oh man, that was very. Did you guys hear that? Yeah, that was very. Man, it's my computer that's playing April Fool's jokes on me. Anyway, it is the first day of baseball season. Crystal, big baseball fan? I mean, you went to Mississippi State. They've got a pretty legendary baseball program there. But what about pro ball?
So pro ball, I only like to watch when it starts to approach the World Series. Growing up, my granddad loved baseball, and he'd come over to our house, and the game would go so doggone long, he'd fall asleep. So I was like, I'll just wait till all the excitement happens. But if I had to pick a team, of course, the Braves, are a favorite. But growing up, and this is probably going to be like, what? Growing up, my family loved the Cubs.
Mm-hmm.
WGN was everywhere, right?
It was everywhere. It was everywhere. Yeah. So
yeah. That's not uncommon, I don't think. And you're from Jackson, Mississippi.
Jackson, Mississippi. Yep.
All right. All right, Charles. What about you? Any predictions for the season?
I'm not a big. I'm just like Crystal on that. I support the Braves here. But I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, man. We had the Birmingham Barons. Yeah. So I must have looked at it like that, but I wait to the World Series where I get excited about it. I won't just sit there and look at it for real. But I support the Braves here, But that's about it for baseball for me.
Well, Scott, we know about you.
Yes.
I mean, is there a bigger Braves fan? But I think since we're all sort of bandwagon Braves fans, what's the prediction for the season? How are they looking?
Ooh, well, there's some pieces that we couldn't get. The Braves aren't. They used to be under Ted Turner. Used to be the big spenders and payrolls the top 3 or 4 teams in the league. But times have changed. But if the pitching staff stays healthy, we've got a good offense. So I'm excited at where we go. I think the bullpen. Everybody's looking at the bullpen. There's some needs there, but hey, that's every team in the majors. So looking forward to just having baseball back. It gives. I don't know about y'all, but we're all seeking out some sense of normalcy, every little shred of normalcy we can get, and baseball's comfort food, and it'll be good.
That's true. I agree with you. And they need to also stop getting us right there to the tip of winning, and then get on the edge of the seat and say, "Oh, we lost." I was like, come on,
ever
man.
Since '95, ever since '95. But hey, at least we've lived to see one World Series, and that's more than a lot of folks and a lot of teams. So we'll see what happens from here. But I should point out, at least we've got baseball in our city. Peter, the Expos played Montreal forever, and they are now
the Nationals.
The Nationals is that same franchise. So packed up.
Yeah, I used to go. So I did a lot of work with implementing technology in Canada, and there's a grocer called Provigo up there, and Rona, which is I would say they're the Home Depot of Canada, but now Home Depot's the Home Depot of Canada. But back then, this was late '90s. They were tops, and I would go to Expos games. Me and 1,200 of Luc Fonet's best friends would be there. So Peter must have been one of the 1,200 other people at those games. You know, and that was played in the Olympic Stadium.
Right. Yeah.
They had this big lid that they could lift up. They couldn't lower it down because they couldn't get the winch to lift it back up if they did. So it was open all the time. And I mean, it would be wickedly cold in Montreal.
Well, the sad thing is, the year of the strike in '94, the Expos had one of the best teams assembled. And they were leading the Braves in the division by 5 or 6 games. That team would have vied for a World Series, and that's a shame that that never got finished. But hey, baseball's back, and it's great. It's great thing. So let's shift gears. I think we could probably have more fun with this lightning around and practical jokes. Holy cow, the production team and Crystal's already gotten us on this April Fool's Day. But let's talk leadership. Both of y'all actually all three of y'all, so Greg and Eric, you're dynamic, you're leadership leaders, and action oriented, and I've learned frankly from all three of y'all. I have the opportunity to rub elbows and work alongside Greg all the time, so I see it more often. But Crystal and Charles, you know, it's evident in our conversations, what y'all share on social, what you do. So it's great to have y'all here. So let's we're gonna be talking about what we've learned from the ineffective leaders, though, the bad leaders. So, Crystal, I want to start with you, and we're going to get your top 3 lessons learned from bad leaders. But, Crystal, what's the first thing on your list?
All right. So the first thing on my list, I'll tell it in a little story. So I was working as an engineer in Mexico, and I had a little situation with one of the manufacturing managers. And I went to my boss and told him about it, and he didn't support me. And I got so angry because I was the incident was so grossly wrong towards me that there was no way that I could be questioned about my actions. And I got so mad. I told him, I said, you know what? I'm going to go. I want to quit this job. I'm going to go find me a job at McDonald's, work the fry machine until I make enough money to pay my parents back for my college education from Mississippi State University.
Before you continue another day at that place. Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't do it. But my point is, you have to stand up for your team. You have to stand up and sponsor them no matter what, right? Whether or not they need to be corrected or not, you have to support them and support them. And support also means correcting them when necessary, or correcting behavior when necessary. But if people don't feel like they have your support, and especially people that work hard for the organization, right? Like sacrificing and working overtime or working weekends, or, missing out on kids' activities. If you don't support them, that is like the worst form of a slap in the face. Right? So that's my first.
That's a great one, and unfortunately, it is it's prevalent. I think it's really prevalent because folks, humans, all of us, sometimes take the easy way out, and it's easier probably not to address and create the conflict, even though the conflict's needed, right? Conflict's needed when there's misbehavior and injustices, right, Crystal?
Right. Absolutely. Okay. Yep.
All right. So starting on a high note on that one, and folks, we want to hear from y'all. Tell us what y'all have learned from folks.
Bad leader stories. Yes.
Bad leader story. That's right. That's what it is. And by the way, hello, Larry Klein. Great to have you back. I think you've been gone a while. All right. So Charles, as we break the seal off, your perspective here today, what's one of the items on your list?
Well, I agree with Crystal on that too, but I look at there's some commonality between good leadership, and there's some commonalities in bad leadership. And when I found in one unit, one company I was with, it was the avoidance of conflict, man, and just totally avoiding it. Like you see the wrongdoing in the organization, and then some leaders just avoid it altogether. They want nothing to do with it. You'll hear things like, "That's an HR problem. Send it to HR." I'm saying, but it's rampant throughout the organization. I think that as a leader, you should not be afraid or avoid conflict. It's just the way it is. Because once you face it, just follow the rules and of the organization culture and the mission statement, and just bring that up so we can stay neutral and get a understanding of what's going on. But do not run from conflict, because conflict it will dilute your organization and everything, man, will go wrong. So I think that people should learn how to deal with conflict resolution in a professional manner where people respect you as a leader. He don't run from it. So I think the main one that I had on my list today, although it's many more, conflict resolution is, you really need that today in leadership.
You know, I worked for an organization that had a great CEO, very values driven, great leader. Mm-hmm. And he used to say, a conflict a day is good for folks. And you know, initially when I heard that, I was like, I don't know. But the more I think about it, that is probably a good way to live. Greg, I'm gonna get your take in a minute. Paula, though, says, I had a boss that did not support or stand up for me. So I found another job in the company with a promotion. Hey, I love that.
There you go.
Drew says, if they are bad, they aren't leaders. They're simply managers, bad managers.
Wow.
Great
That's
comment.
A good point.
Right,
good point.
Good she point. Just did it to us again. Wait, do that again, Crystal.
All right. So Greg, comment here. You know, Crystal's and Charles, their first items from the list are very related. Give us a take before we move on to the second one.
Yeah, I think, you know, both of what Crystal and Charles have talked about, and actually most of these examples so far, is, I think maybe at a higher level, or at least my perspective, is one of the most egregious offenses a leader can make, and that is sacrificing the totality of the organization for the one exception, right? Not supporting the good of the organization, or not supporting the morale of the organization in order to avoid conflict, or by failing to support someone who has been wronged. And that is incredibly erosive to an organization, right?
I agree.
How many times I've been party to it. I've probably done the bad leader thing at least once, in allowing someone who was obviously detrimental to the culture, detrimental to the mission, to the organization, and not addressing that quickly enough, and then seeing it erode the organization. So I developed this philosophy kind of on my own as I realized I was failing. It's either one of us or it's all of us, right?
That's
either
right.
This one bad apple has to go, or the whole bushel is ruined. And so I just had to tell myself that over and over as a young leader to get to the point where I would make those cuts.
I agree.
I love that. So let's hear from our community a bit. T Squared, who holds down the fort for us on YouTube. Great to have you here, T Squared. Crystal just gave us a smorgasbord in that response, and Charles gave us an entree. Nourishment. Natalie says, hey, bad leaders are complacent. Don't push beyond.
Oh, man.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, that is good.
Larry says, I've learned to handle conflict, I think he says, at the lowest level possible. If employees see you, will handle their issues, they'll do anything you ask. The leaders I work the hardest for are those that I've known had my back. Excellent point.
I agree with him.
One final comment from the Rain Man, Todd Rains, being directed to reallocate away from a fee warehouse by VP, and then when the fee. All right, so Greg, what more April Fools? I think
so. Basically, his boss told him to do something, and then when the business partner complained, he threw Todd under the bus.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coward. That's a good one. So thank you for all, and y'all keep them coming. We're talking about bad leadership today and what we've learned from bad leaders, or as I think Drew put it, bad managers. So we all know there's a big difference. Okay, so let's keep driving here. So Crystal, what is second on your list?
All right, second on my list is when they actually are the ones creating the chaos in the organization. Ooh. Confusion, not setting priorities, not honoring their word. When that leader is the one that's driving the chaos and the instability in the organization. That one is. How
many people, I wonder, just had someone pop into their head?
In their mind. Yeah.
Likewise. Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, that happens quite a bit. I hate politics, and it's so corrosive to an organization, right? And I've been fortunate to not work in too many political organizations. I mean, who can afford that? But there's leaders that do more harm than good is kind of what I'm hearing Crystal talk about.
That's right.
All All right. So a lot of good stuff here. And we've got some more comments I'll share momentarily. Charles, what's second up on your list?
The second one on mine was those leaders that do not take responsibility or accountability for their own actions.
That's right.
Therefore, they can't take responsibility or accountability for the action of the organization. You see, like if the organization is looking at you as the leader and you're not setting an example, so therefore you allow the chaos to continue because you can't say anything. And that's a bad position to be in. That's a bad organization to be in as well, because you have to take accountability for some of the projects and tasks that has to be done. You have to say, we failed, not pointing the blame. But if you got bad character, you can't do that. You can't step out. So that's one of the ones I really look at a lot. And I say anybody can be guilty of, because in leadership, we're continuously growing, all of us. We are learning from our mistakes as we get older and we get in these positions. We have to realize that we hold ourselves accountable for our people, man. We got to stand up for our people. I learned that in the military. If you do for your people, you take care of them, man, they'll fight for you, man. And I've learned to do that, take responsibility for my actions and the actions of my guys. And that's just the way I go with it. If I got to discipline them, I'll do that outside of everything else. But in front of somebody, we'll deal with it. I'll take responsibility. And so I think that's a good leadership trait. Yep.
Agreed. A lot of good stuff there, Charles. And let's see here. Going back to Crystal's first point, or second point, chaos, Natalie says. Great point, Crystal. This is so applicable for leaders at all levels, especially those that aren't that aren't managers. They're more leaders than managers. Excellent point there. Gary shares his top three bad leader traits: not communicating with staff, non-support with staff, and 3, lack of humility.
That's my next one. That's my next one. Yeah.
Is it? Well, on that point, and Greg, we'll get you weigh in here in just a second. But Crystal, go ahead, since Gary mentioned that. Go ahead and share your third.
Yeah, so I framed it up a little bit differently, but it results in the same. And leaders that think that they are the only ones with the answer. And so they don't show respect to the talent that they have on the team. They don't encourage their team to exude the best of what they have to bring to the table. And they don't allow their team to grow. And it also creates mistrust, right? Because then people won't share. They won't share when there are problems or opportunities or when they see certain things, because they don't feel like they have a voice when your answer is the only answer that matters.
Well said, Crystal.
That's
Greg.
Good. I like that.
I do too.
Yeah.
Greg, what are you thinking here?
I'm thinking so many things, but I'll narrow it down to communication. Communication is absolutely critical, and it's hard. It's hard to do. And, that's what leaders do, though. They do the hard things. They're out front when their people are facing a challenge, and they're in the back when their people have succeeded, right? But communication is so critical, because that gives people the things that they seek in a job: relevance, respect, right? Responsibility. And there are other words that don't start with R, but I mean, it does all those things. You have to allow people to understand what their purpose is, and the why we're doing this, the what it accomplishes, the who and the how that it needs to get done. And you have to do that through communication. And it's really, really difficult, but it's absolutely necessary. And I've seen some awful communicators, again, guilty as charged on more than one. It's not a consistent problem for me, but believe me, well, I don't know, maybe there's some people who've worked for me who would argue that it is. I'd love to hear from you if you think so, but I worked really hard at it, but I know I have been terrible at communication, at least from time to time. So I think
that's a good point.
It's really, really hard to do, because sometimes you have to decide what and how to communicate certain things, right? Because there are things that the line staff needs to know, and there are things that it's better they don't know, and making that differentiation is sometimes very difficult. But always clear purpose, right? Clear goals and clear expectations. So
All right. A lot of good stuff there. And by the way, if you ever work for Greg and you want to throw some stones, we want to hear from you today during the live stream.
Right
Of course,
now would be
of course,
good.
I'm
I'm not
kidding.
lying. I've got my pen
don't throw no
handy and
stones
I'm
at
ready
me
to
if you
take
know 'em.
notes.
All right. So, Charles, I'm coming to you next, but I want to share a couple comments before I do. A lot of stuff here. Simon says, a boss who sets a task and after you deliver it, they complain that they wanted the opposite done. Suck it up. Work extra hard to deliver the opposite. And then when you redeliver, they complain it should have been the opposite.
Yeah.
I can feel that pain.
Oh, that's
there,
good,
Simon.
Simon.
That's painful.
I always say that Picasso started with a blank canvas. So if you want something different, frame it up.
Yes. Give us the draw it out. And give
I'm
us the
sorry, I
color
have
codes,
to write that down.
You know?
Even Picasso started with a blank canvas.
T Squared says bad managers seem to conveniently forget to tell their subordinates the rules of the road of the organization, written and unwritten. And baseball season is really bad about unwritten rules. So,
right.
Azalea, great to see you here today. She showed up late. One of our favorite topics is leadership. Well, you're in the right place, and we look forward to your POV here today. Rhonda, hello, Rhonda. Says our team can feel if we actually care for them as a person or not. Feeling valued helps us all show up as our best selves for sure. Excellent point.
Rhonda is absolutely right. Rhonda is correct. She's correct.
Well, Charles, on that note, I agree with you. On that note, what's your third and final item here today?
My third one, man, is very important. And it's important in our life. It's important in our job and everything we do. Most bad managers or leaders, they are not good listeners.
That's right.
Because, man, when you, I know we all have been through this. We've been in a meeting, right? And the leader asks anybody have anything to add or any questions, anything. Everybody go radio silent, right? Then when they get out in the hallway, they talk about what they would have done, what they would have said, because they know that their leader is not a good listener. So he won't get all that good information he get in the hallway. And being a good listener, it's got a lot to do with looking at your people's body language, their tone. It's just not sitting back and being the last person to speak. You got to understand who your team is. There's certain body language a person have. You'll tell if they agitated about something or whatever they want to speak, or if a guy's not paying attention around the meeting. I like to put a round table with my guys. That's like, hey, not a straight table, it's round. Everybody looking at each other. And
it's
then
like King Arthur.
Like King Arthur, man.
Yeah.
And you're able to express yourself as long as it's productive and conducive to what we're trying to accomplish. I'm welcoming them all. I'm listening to everything people say because they have something to say, but they got to be free to say it, man. If your smartest people around that table, if you shut that voice down, you're hurting yourself. You're hurting the organization. So I say bad leaders are bad listeners.
Yeah, I love that. Greg, what piggyback on those comments from Charles?
Well, listening is the absolutely most critical thing because look, as a leader, one of the things that you have to do is you have to break down barriers and remove hurdles for your people, and you can't know what those are. You can't know what those are unless you actually listen, right? And sometimes that might mean you need to change something in another part of the business to facilitate something for your sales team or for your accounting team or whatever, right? So you have to understand those things. And man, if you don't listen, I don't understand how you could lead, because you get almost all of your best leadership knowledge from what's going on in a day-to-day basis.
That's right.
And Greg, a good way to do that, man, I found, and I practice it, man. I'll paraphrase what they're telling me. I was like, so I understand you saying this. And they feel so good that you do that because they feel like you're listening. You say, hey, so I'm getting that you're saying this and we should do this. And when you do that, man, you get a whole nother stream of things they want to tell you. And then, you start act like you're writing it down. You ain't even got to be writing it down, but act like you're writing it down, but be able to paraphrase what that person is saying. And it works good in relationships too. Your wife be like, oh, you heard me. Yeah. You might get a little lucky, man. If you do
Wait a minute, I'm going to write that down. It works for relationship.
Paraphrase it.
Listen, yeah.
Every guy could write that down.
I could add quickly to that.
All right.
The beautiful part about listening is you actually create a connection with people, right? If you're not listening with some type of intention, you create a connection And most people will be okay if a leader doesn't choose to do what they suggested, as long as they felt heard.
Right. You felt heard, you did listen to me,
Yes.
and you can learn a lot of that from LinkedIn. I've learned a lot from Greg and Scott. I'm always chiming in because I actually strategically seek out people to communicate with on LinkedIn. I'm very strategic about who I'm communicating with because I'm learning. I want to learn from them as well. And I always get them feedback. I appreciate you because it helped my day. It helped my life. When somebody give me some good feedback on something, I say, hey, I appreciate that because they don't have to do it.
That's true.
They don't have to do it.
It's interesting. You point out kind of how digital relationships have been so powerful in recent times. I've learned a lot, across these different social channels for sure, and really built relationships. I mean, kind of this is an illustration of that. Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
All right. I want to share this from Todd Raines. Taking a beating when someone on your team falls short is critical. No one wants to hear "it's not my fault" from anyone, especially leadership. We must be accountable, take the hit, and resolve issues so they don't reoccur. Excellent point.
Full agree.
Yeah. Azalea says, generally onboarding and job training has really been undervalued. I saw the importance of that early on, even the part-time jobs during college, trying to integrate that into the organization that she's working for now. I love that. Azalea.
Yeah, that helps with the simulation. That's
excellent point.
It's funny. What both of those kind of go to is something that somebody said to me a long time ago, and that is, if the student hasn't learned, the teacher hasn't taught.
That's right.
And that's essentially, that is essentially what leadership is. You have to work hard to make sure the student learns, right? And if they don't learn, if they fail, like Todd's talking about, you have to take that bullet and assume that you didn't communicate the goals or the actions appropriately, right?
Take accountability.
And I think that is such a critical leadership trait. And I wish I could remember who said that. I know it's been said 1,000 times, Crystal. Clearly you've heard it, but I wish I could remember who said that to me. But man, I definitely drank that in when they said that.
I think it was a guy. I think a guy named Charles said that to you, man.
Was that right? Okay. It seems like I was much younger. Were you? I don't think you're old enough to have been one of my teachers.
The incarnation, man.
The importance of that is that if you're not open to learning as a leader, then you don't get it.
Right.
You're not a leader. You're not a leader because you're in a position of authority. You're a leader because people follow you, and you can't make people follow you. You have to inspire people to follow you.
There you go.
Right?
Excellent point. And as
create
Charles,
more leaders. Create more leaders. Man.
I was about Charles. You beat me to it on the live stream last time. Charles said, we shouldn't worry about creating more followers. We should be worried and focused on creating more leaders. I love that.
Absolutely.
All right. So Larry says the leader should set the vision and guide the train, not always drive it. Let them do their jobs and deal with it if they don't. Excellent point there. And Gary adds to that, yes, bad leaders have no vision. And then David says, and the lack, wrong one here. Leadership's a popular topic. David says the lack of it can create a chasm too big to traverse between your teams. Excellent point there, David. Okay. So we got a couple more minutes here to dive into this popular topic of not just leadership, but bad leadership. And I wanted to add one that we talked about pre-show. And this is probably, there's always worst case scenarios in these conversations like this. I think we've touched a lot on attributes that, like communication. Any good leader can have a lapse with communication, right? But are you self-aware enough to address it and get intentional about getting better? I think that's what really sets apart, good leaders. But on the flip side, on this worst case scenario, I think I shared with y'all, when I was in the Air Force and got on to my first duty station at Shaw Air Force Base in Sumter, South Carolina, one of the office leaders, I use leaders very loosely, sat me down my first day in the office, so to speak, one-on-one, and said, "You will fear me." You being me, the young airman. I may have had a stripe on my sleeve, maybe at the time. and he had been in for 15 years or so, was a senior enlisted manager. And that moment was seared in my brain. And right away, and I did fear him for a little while, right away, I never want to be that guy or that person or have that type of mentality. And I think, when we think about what we learn from bad leaders, you really crystallize and can visualize what the type of leader you don't want to be. And I think that is probably one of the best lessons learned from some of the folks that we not have the pleasure of working with or for. So, but what else as we start to wrap, and of course we're going to make sure folks know how to connect with Crystal and Charles here today, and Crystal will touch on your podcast too. But if folks, let's wrap on this last question, and I'll pose this to all three of y'all. If folks had to remember one thing, and because in this goldfish era, you got 7 seconds of attention, right? Everything's divided attention. So if there's one thing from this really healthy conversation we're having that folks should really lock in on, what would that be? And Crystal, let's start with you. What's that one thing that folks got to take away from this conversation?
The one thing I would say that you should take away if you are in a leadership role is to learn how to ask great questions.
Yeah, that's an excellent
point. That would be the one thing that I would say. Learn how to ask great questions. And all of those other attributes that we talked about, listening, communication, will come about when you really start to ask great questions.
Excellent point. I think you can learn, despite all the presentation, the oratorical skills, all this stuff, you can really learn a lot of how bright and powerful, capable folks are from really good questions, can't you?
Right. That's right. You can learn a tremendous amount. And then you start to learn more about what they don't know or understand. And that's when you start to teach.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to be the dumbest person in the room.
That's right. That's right.
Well, Drew, so great point. I'm gonna bring Drew's comment I saw earlier here. Drew says, as a leader, if you are or think you are the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room. I love that. All right. So Crystal, ask good questions. Charles, what's your one thing that folks really got to take away from the conversation?
I would say I always believe in the 3 C's. We talk about that all the time: collaborate, cooperate, and communicate. But I would say to take away from this today, be the leader that you always wanted to be. When we started off in the military, everything, we found those great guys. We knew the attributes of those guys. Then we got in the civilian sector. We started getting with these organizations. Like, we can easily point out the bad leader. That's too easy, man. There's no challenge there. But the good ones, be that guy. Be that good leader that you can think of in your mind. Say, I want to be that guy. Or very close to him. And I think you'll be successful because you'll be continuously learning, man. Every day you learn. You can learn something. Every day is a learning experience. So
I love that.
Be that leader, man. Be that leader you always wanted to be.
In our conversation we had on Veteran Voices, Charles, you shared the story of a colonel that I can't remember her name, but
Eugenia Sneed. I can remember. Boom.
Yes, and she went and learned how to jump out of planes because the folks that she was managing and leading, that's one of the things they had to do. They're paratroopers, right?
Wow. That's right. We are paratroopers.
And I remember that conversation because you were asking her, Charles, well, you don't have to do this. You're for a full bird colonel. Why are you? And her response.
I'm doing it because you guys are. I can't really lead you guys unless I know the experience of what you're experiencing as a jump master or whatever. She wanted to be inside the whole experience of it, so she can feel what you're feeling when you're expressing it to her. She wanted to be a part of the feeling, and I think that's leadership, man. That's leadership. Yeah,
love that. Okay, Gregory. So much good stuff. I love these conversations. I love these two leaders here. We can learn so much from Crystal and Charles. What's one key thing that folks got to take away from this conversation?
Well, I think that a twist on the statement, you're not a leader because you're in a position of authority. You're a leader because people follow you. I would encourage and challenge people. You don't have to be in a position of authority in order to be a leader.
Right.
You can lead from anywhere. And I think that's the most critical thing. Leadership is inspiring and enabling and empowering people. And you can do that from anywhere, from the shop floor, from behind a broom, right? So that's one of the important leadership lessons. I think it goes directly to what Charles says, right? Don't create followers, create leaders.
Yeah, love that. Let's share a couple comments here as we wrap up today's live stream. I hate to. I wish we could have a 3-hour live stream here today. David says, echoing what Charles is saying, be the type of leader you want to work for. Peter says, be the change you want to see. I love that, Peter. Drew says, early in my career, I worked for a horrible manager. I learned what not to do or be. It's 30 years later, and I still think about him, and in situations I think, well, what would Kevin do? And I do the opposite.
Drew called names.
Yeah. Drew is throwing out
no last names, though. That was good. But I bet Kevin, wherever Kevin is, I bet he knows who he's talking about.
That's right. Simon says, best leaders should be self-aware, know the different leadership styles, and learn how to apply them, especially if they aren't natural, and apply them to situations as required.
That's
great.
You want to say something? We all have to do that because Scott said, Simon said.
Simon said. I've noticed that. I noticed Simon said.
Oh God, I'm just such a dad joke individual, folks. I'm sorry. I can't make any apologies for it. All right. So always a pleasure. We had a wonderful time in the pre-show with both of y'all. Really enjoyed your earlier appearances. We always love a repeat guest, but I appreciate y'all's you both have that charisma, and you've been there, done that. And that makes powerful leadership lessons learned and conversation. So let's make sure folks know how to connect with you both. And Crystal, of course, we want to make sure folks know about the Lead Lean podcast. So tell us in a nutshell, what's that podcast about? And then how can folks connect with you?
In a nutshell, the Lead Lean podcast is I'm teaching entrepreneurs and business owners about a lot of the practices we do in large companies around lean and agile, but really making it make sense for the small business owners so that they can have operational excellence. So that's really what I talk about on that show. And I will invite all of you to be guests. Yeah, and you can reach me on all forms of social as Crystal Y Davis, and or you can just go to theleancoachinc.com and send me an email.
Awesome. Right. I love that. Let's make
sure. How
often
do you put out your podcast, Crystal?
Every week on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, awesome.
Let's make sure that is, Let's make sure that Amanda, if you can, we can drop the link so you can hear more of kind of the Crystal story and her journey. We can drop the link to her episode with us as well. Great practical lessons learned from that one. The Pride of Jackson, Mississippi, Hale State. Did you have your cowbell?
You have your cowbell? Oh, she does have.
I love it.
The entire SEC is going, oh.
I know, right?
Well, and one of the cool things from her podcast discussion with us was her dad's constant advice: save money and read books. Yeah, read a book, save money and read a book. I love that, Crystal. Look forward to having you back. All right,
Thank you so much.
It is always a blast, Charles, and also Amanda. I think you're helping us out here today behind the scenes. Charles was on Veteran Voices with us, where he dove into his story. And Charles, you come from a big family. How many brothers and sisters again?
7 brothers and 6 sisters, man. There's 13 of us, man. 13.
Goodness gracious.
What number are you, Charles?
I'm number 12, man. They say the smartest one was number 12. The smartest one was number 12.
That's right. Your family's tall, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned that before.
There's a lot of us, man. A couple had passed away, but I got so many nieces and nephews. When I go to Birmingham, man, it's like a family reunion, man. So this pandemic been hard on us because we're such a large family, you know. Yeah. And so but we still get close, man. I say if I'm gonna catch COVID, I'd rather catch from my brother or sister.
There you go.
I hug them anyway.
Well, hey, best wishes to your family and of course your son. But how can folks connect with Charles Walker?
Well, right now you can connect with me at charles@ags-georgia.com. And then our website is under reconstruction right now because we're going after more government contracts. We're going PPE heavy because we got a few contracts with the VA, but now we're finna get the website where people can actually go on and get all the PPE equipment, the gowns or whatever off our website. So more to be followed on that. Scott, now I'll let you and Greg know about that. But we're right here in Atlanta. We got a warehouse here in McDonough, and you can reach out to me at charles@ags-georgia.com.
Love it.
And on LinkedIn all the time.
Well, I was about to say that. You beat me to it. Folks, y'all definitely want to connect with Charles and Crystal on LinkedIn. They both drop knowledge all the time. Crystal, I love the leadership tips. You drop in regular business tips. And of course, Charles is he studies history and you see it reflect in his LinkedIn content. So y'all make sure to do that. And Natalie, I couldn't have said it better. Charles and Crystal are quickly becoming favorite guests. I'm with you. We're big fans. Let's see here. Great. Chris says, great show. Awesome guest. Well done, everyone. Thank you, Chris. And thanks for tuning in for your first time.
Yeah. First time. So,
and Peter says, Greg, in Canada, we have a 3-foot long horn to blow. No cowbells.
I'll send you one, Peter.
Okay. I always communicate with Peter.
Yeah,
Peter, good guy. I love that. All right. So big thanks to y'all both. Greg, before we I don't know if the swoosh machine is broken or not, so they may just pop out of the stream. But Greg, before we have them depart the stream, any final comments on your end, Greg?
Mostly thank you for joining us on this day. Thanks for the comedy. Thanks for the camaraderie. Thanks for the leadership. Really appreciate it. And what a great topic. First of all, I want to thank you both for not only pointing out the flaws of bad leaders, but helping the community to resolve those with your follow-on comments to that. I think that's important as well.
Agreed.
Excellent point. Man. Thank you all for the platform, man, because, without a platform, the voices will be silent, man. So, we can look at the positive things that happened in the pandemic as well. People started to communicate with each other, via whatever platform they had. And now people are, people around the world, man. People know that you got a voice and people are more open to speak their voice. So it's a good thing too.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. So, we're going to be writing that down. So I'm not going to be able to talk for a couple minutes.
Hey, we're going to wrap with Charles and Crystal in the shop because I've got no faith in the swoosh. So y'all stand by for just a second because we want to celebrate.
You're going to get to see the sausage made, gang. All right.
Well, hey, April Fool's Day. The production team got us for sure. Peter says, great news. His daughter just FaceTimed us to let them know that she got into the nursing program.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Congrats. That is awesome. All right. So I want to that's right. Oh, round of applause. Hey, Dad Jokes Warehouse Incorporated here today. That's all we are.
That's part of leadership, man. You instill your qualities into your people, Scott.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So really enjoyed today's conversation. A huge thanks to Charles Walker and Crystal Davis, just dynamos. And if y'all can't tell, y'all should have seen the pre-show. We had a blast. I didn't know if we were going to be able to get into the live stream. We're enjoying each other's company so much. Greg, enjoy these conversations with you. It's all about making sure, and Charles, echoing your point, everyone's got a take on leadership, right? Everyone, we saw it evident in the conversation here, and of course, in all the comments. Everyone experiences things differently, and it's really important to put a spotlight and have that exchange of experiences and ideas, and that's one of my favorite things about these live streams for sure. But Greg, before I sign off, your final thought here today.
Leadership is so important, and again, I can't say it enough. You can lead from anywhere, so do. And as you said, we see examples of leadership every day. File those away, acknowledge those. They are, frankly, your lot in life. And if you don't like, as Crystal and a few of you have already mentioned, if you don't like what you're seeing, do something about it. Right? There are people who change their environment, and there are people who are changed by their environment. So either change your environment or accept that you could be changed by it.
Love that.
That's good.
On that note, hey, folks, don't be a lip service leader. Take action. Deeds, not words. And on that note, on behalf of our entire team here, wonderful panelists, all the folks in the comments, the team behind the scenes, on behalf of Greg White and the whole team, Scott Luton signing off for now. Hey, do good, give forward, and be the change that's needed. On that note, we'll see you next time here on Supply Chain Now. Thanks, everybody.
We out.